Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Stack Overflow podcast. Today, we have another episode of Leaders of Code for you. This is a segment where we chat with senior engineering leaders across industries about the work they're doing, how they go about building teams, and the biggest challenges that they are dealing with right now. I'll be your host. My name is Ira May. I'm the B2B editor at Stack Overflow. And once again, I am sitting with Jody Bailey, who is our Chief of Product and Technology at Stack Overflow. And Jody and I are joined today by Dana Lawson, who is the CTO at Netlify. How are you both doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for asking. Great to be here with you, Dana.
Yeah, I am super excited to be on this show today. I mean, who isn't a fan of Stack Overflow? So, yes, very much excited. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. We love to hear it. I'll just kick us off. I wanted to pose a question to both of you. So, both Stack and Netlify have really embraced remote work and distributed teams, in some cases, long before the pandemic sort of urged everyone to get used to doing it that way. How do you each go about building and maintaining the strong engineering culture that I think characterizes both Stack and Netlify? A lot of innovation and accountability, but also a sense of psychological safety for folks.
I've been doing remote well before it was a thing, before Netlify as well, and it's been a real journey, especially after the pandemic did force people to change. For me, I mean, I've been looking for the magic mixture of recipes that bring teams together for years now, and I think with remote, you still have to balance that opportunity to connect physically and in person with the remote nature. I mean, there's just no two ways around it. You get this energy buzz that people get by getting to meet people in real life. Go figure. And so, at Netlify, we try to be real intentional about having time and space for those in-person meetings. We allocate budget every year for teams to get together, and it's your home team, your functional team, and knowing that it's important, but creating the relationships when you don't get that opportunity. You got to get creative there. We try to follow a written culture. We hear that over and over, and we've heard it for years. And now there's no dang excuse with AI. I'm like, have AI do your writing. But having a global team that has multiple languages, not only coding languages, but spoken languages, it's incredibly important to have that record of mostly truths that gets out of date occasionally, but definitely written down somewhere type of culture. And we try to embrace that. And that's one of the things that we do to help with some of that psychological safe is like put it in black and white, like take out some of the ambiguity and some of the, the funny English language in it and try to simplify it. One of our values is simplification. So trying to keep that mindset when we approach the team. But I would say really it's those two parts. Be intentional about opportunities to connect, give people space and time, but also like write shit down.
You mentioned AI. It's like, I assume you're referring to, and one of the things I love is the note taker, right? And the minutes and action items. And that's been so kind of empowering. It's like you don't feel like you have to type everything down now. And, somebody doesn't make it to the meeting, it's real easy to catch it. I've loved that. That's been a huge win for us as well. We use Slack as a big part of how we communicate. I assume y'all use that or something similar. Yeah. One of the things that has proven to be really important and valuable and is always kind of we're balancing is having conversations out in the open, right? And having public channels instead of private channels. And we frequently have kind of these debates about everything should be open versus, the teams feel like, hey, like we're just working through some stuff and we don't need everybody's opinion, on everything we're doing. Otherwise we'll never get it done. I'm curious, Dana, do you all experience that type of thing, or is that a way of operating for you?
It's pretty much the same. Like we try to stand by like most conversations. Like I'm telling you, there's only far and few that should be in private DMs. We try to work out there in open and try to curate that like good ideas do come from anywhere, but also like no decisions by committees. So it's like a balancing act really. And it's interesting because I have some teams that are just like, yeah, we want to be TV and be in this little room and make our inside jokes all day. I might make your inside jokes on the outside. Nobody will get what you're talking about, but it'll be fine. But I think a lot of that, when I do get that friction, it comes from the same place. It's like, man, you've been telling me to be so execution focused, like very, very much focus on my work, focus, focus, focus. And then I have to filter out all the stuff that may hurt that focus. So, there's some definite, like, don't use that here, don't use that channel, make sure you're in the right channel. But we have
Right.
a pretty tight, like, lean team. And so definitely our default is work in the open, especially because you don't know who has that expertise sometimes, especially
Totally.
when you don't
Yeah.
have so much sacredness around boundaries. And so it's, somebody's described it before as like controlled chaos, but it's a startup. It's exactly that. It's total controlled chaos. And I'd rather have that be known than like a lot of like double work because it's like not out in the open. That's just how we roll too.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how big is Netlify? You referred to it as a startup, and you know, I've learned through my career that startup means a lot of different things to different people. Working at AWS for a while, they refer to these public companies as startups, right? and in my mind, a startup, is like 10, 20 people kind of thing. And I'm pretty sure your team's bigger than that.
We are bigger than the 1020, but like it still surprises a lot of people. There's about 110, full-time employees at Netlify, and half of
Okay.
that is R&D. So we're taking about, 40 to 50 employees at any given moment are shipping and building the experience and product. And it's pretty wild, because, 5%, and like, it may not be big numbers to like some of my big counterparts, but like 5% of the internet's running on this company with this amazing group of people that have a really, really hard tech, having a global edge network and developer experience platform on top of it. We didn't choose easy. I mean, we didn't
No.
be like, let's just make a website. I'm like, man, one day maybe I'll just make a website. We'll see.
Right. Take on an easy job, a challenge.
Exactly.
And, in terms of your team, are they, I think you said they're around the world, different languages, et cetera. How do you think about hiring into a team like that?
It's I feel like I'm always learning and growing as a leader on how to pull humans together to really accomplish things. And you sit and you read a lot of books, a lot of Stack Overflow, you learn from people, and you're like, I'm going to create this amazing model and this framework that's just going to like rinse, repeat. And I'm going to have this, beautifully scaled, autonomous. It's okay. We're not AI. It's a lot harder than that. It's definitely an art hiring this way. And I try to just really stay close to those frontline managers. I mean, they know the teams better than anybody. And we try to respect how teams communicate depending upon their portfolio. Because you could try and do this, and I've done it in the past, one size fits all kind of Spotify model, where you take four people, 4 to 5 people, small span control, team, very limited portfolio. It just don't work that way anymore. Like global economics, there's a ton of reasons. So now I really just like try to build those relationships with the hiring manager and really give that accountability and say, like, what do you need on this with these group of skills and people to be successful? And what are some of the constraints we have to deal with? Because we have taken a bet and we have been controlled chaos on hiring in some sense. We've gone through acquisitions. And what you find is teams have these micro ceremonies. You do a lot of things, and I try to keep the overall engineering bureaucracy low. So it's like we have a stand up every 2 weeks that's everybody, but nothing more than that, because I really want teams to operate on their own scale. And so we really put that autonomy down into the leaders, but a lot of the teams you'll notice will self-organize globally, kind of in about 3 hours within the core of the time zone. Sometimes there's teams that have outliers to that. That's one way. Another is really looking at the composition of the teams. Right now, because we have such a polyglot environment at Netlify, there's a lot of computer languages. There's a lot of nascent tech where you're like, okay, where's the one person that's going to come and work on Rust? Oh, it's like that person over there. And you may not have 2 or 3 people that know it. We try to, think about how we share the operational load for those types of problems. And so that we're always reliable. And so again, when we talk about hiring globally and TComp position, honestly, it's like leveraging the team themselves, like asking them, what do you need? What's
Right.
missing? And I don't know, treating them like adults because you're saying, hey, you're responsible for this piece of the product. Like you better be responsible for it. And I think, people figure out where they need a little help. So I use it, and again, it depends. Like in a much larger organization, I was at GitHub, I was at other places, hundreds, thousands of engineers. You may
Right.
not do it quite that way, but honestly, I think that applying the right boundaries, then letting teams self-organize, you actually get a lot more out of it. And that's the way I've been approaching it here lately.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I think, especially with globally remote, and at Stack, we're the same way, right? I mean, we have some boundaries, some constraints, in terms of time zones, et cetera. But I mean, you still end up with Europe and Pacific Coast, which is pretty significant, and certainly when it comes to how the teams operate, right? When it comes to bringing people together, you know, you find that they naturally want to be closer together, right? Because it's hard to work with somebody that's on a time zone that's 8 hours different, right? You mentioned polyglot, and I'm curious about your take on this and that one guy that knows Rust. And we're not as polyglot here as I've been other places. And one of the things that we had to do, and I'm curious if you've had to do something similar, is put in some guidelines. And we implemented a tech radar for ourselves and used that as a way to kind of understand all the technologies. And it was a pretty full radar. But then also, some constraints around, experiments, proposing experiments with new languages and thinking about, okay, how many people in the world can actually help us if that one guy that leaves, experiment with Rust or fill in the blank, technology leaves, what do we do? Have you had to address the polyglot approach, or is it pretty much, whatever you want goes?
Oh man, totally. Like I've wrestled with it because you sit there and you get these great proposals, and if you look at it without some of the boundaries in place and just go by straight facts, right? Like if you're building a service and you're like, X language will be 20 times faster and doing it this way will be scalable and XYZ, then you're like, yeah, but do I have people that actually can do that? Like
Right.
reality, like you said, reality comes and hits you pretty fast. I've had to make decisions where it's like, okay, we're not going maybe with the fastest, but it's the most, and it comes down with anything you choose, the most reliable, right? So,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
especially the business you're in, reliability kind of important,
it
right?
is, but it's also like the business now is like, man, we're all skating above the puck. I mean, we're using sports terms again now. I'm telling you, like nobody knows where we're going and what technology has now unlocked for people. And for
Right.
me, I'll tell you, um, it's it. I was talking about scalability and speed. It's still the same thing. I mean, that's really the difference. It's the law of numbers. And so, when it comes to making those decisions, I do have to think about like how am I going to operationalize this? Like, do I have enough people that know how to do it? And we've made choices that by design would be probably the best, but they were the best for us to be able to operate and scale. Because there's so many choices, tools, platforms that anybody can rage quit on it. Like product managers, you're probably obsessing about this too. How do I make it sticky? How do I attain? How do I retain? It's like when you have like a million choices. And I'll tell you what, have weak security and weak reliability, like your choice is no longer yours. It's somebody else's now. And so I think you have to do that balancing act. But you also have to take some risks sometimes, but they have to be, you know, the right trade-offs. And again, it comes down to like the business that is important for you as a company too. So I always come back and try to root it in that. And there is a push and pull when you have platforms that have free offerings and enterprise, because they do want different things sometimes.
Yeah.
And, innovation might be hampered a little bit in favor of better reliability, but you can't do that forever. So it's constantly weighing those checks and balances out, and then really trying to find opportunities, not just trying, but working at opportunities to cross train. I mean, you're learning something new every day. Like, I haven't met the engineer or developer that, not in a long time, that's like, I do this one thing and I do it well. I'm like, man, you better do all things and do them pretty well. And if not, you're going to use an agent to supplement it, because that's reality now. And so I feel that when you do introduce something that is only known by a few, you got to make it really clear on those run books. You got to make it like so obvious that the implementation, somebody could learn through it, and that you're given that opportunity to go pick up a new skill. And so we try to also culturally hire curious people that are open-minded. That's like, hey, congratulations, you get to go work with the Rust dude today. And you know what? Most people are like, sweet, I get like some up-leveling. Right. I get some skilling.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm exactly the same way with curiosity and learning. And in fact, I've had conversations with people about, oh, well, AI and beginning developers, they're not going to learn. And, what's that going to mean? And, my answer is kind of the same. It's like, it's the same as it's always been, right? I mean, the people that are curious, the people that want to learn, they're going to figure out how to learn what it's doing and how to use it, right? And they're the ones that will be successful. And those that don't, just like always, they might get by, but they'll only get by and make it so far. It's really the people that are committed to learning and that are curious that are going to be expert, that are really going to have these really, fruitful careers, in my opinion.
Agreed.
You mentioned innovation, and I'm curious, like, innovation can mean so many things, right? And you can have, the founder or the CEO or board talking about innovation. They've got one idea, the engineering might have another idea. I'm curious how you think about it.
I mean, honestly, you got to just listen to what people want. I'd like to think we're coming up with the best new ideas. We're not. We're just making really good ideas still continue to be pretty good. And maybe I obviously have some bias because of, like, I'm in this development platform universe. Like, all I've done for years is, like, think about how people build software and, like, how we create experiences. And it still comes down to, like, humans love to build, and humans love people that hang out and try the stuff they built, because it brings a sense of joy and it usually serves a purpose. And I think a lot of the times when you're crafting a platform or even building any kind of software, you're going to innovate in the areas that help escalate that experience. But a lot of the experience on the internet and applications are the same over and over. I have a transactional thing that I need to do. And your transactional thing maybe be, I don't know, to doom scroll, you do you, but it's still built on, like, you person take action. And the experience is how quickly that action is felt by you. And so I try to really just pay attention to where people are gravitating, understand how builders are building, but also fostering that curiosity and being clear about, like, that mission and vision, right? It's like, you can't, I'd love to solve all the global problems, as do many people in tech would love to do. But I'm like, man, I'm this little ant on this pile that is not important. So what can I control? And so, again, grounding ourselves in our work and where we see a vision, happening to the things that we can build for these experiences. And then really, really just sharing it with people. I'm really, really blessed right now that the gatekeeping of development has gone down, and a lot of people are uncomfortable about it, but I'm seeing so many smart people come up with so many darn ideas. It is incredible. Like, we have little product officers everywhere now. They're just everywhere, because now you can sit and prototype, you can build, you can get your idea out there with some substance. And maybe Maybe you were just technically adjacent, or you were that Go programmer, but now you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to show you end to end, like this idea I have. And I just try to encourage that in every part of our company. Like, if we are at Netlify producing these experiences to take ideas into production and do it rapidly and innovate with agents, then like anybody should be able to do it. And so I think, again, it's like balancing out where you can make change and make a difference, but also just listening. And like, what do they say? The best product minded people are the ones that listen to their customers. And I'm telling you, honestly, just listen to them half the time. They're going to tell you what they want and how to make it better. Unless like, I don't know, somebody comes up with something real radical. I don't know, go build it. But I'm more of a realist sometimes.
Yeah. You said something I think it resonates with me, and that is, some people, argue that AI is going to be the end of developers. And in my mind, it's just creating more builders, right? It's enabling more people to build things. I see our product managers, coding things out. And I mean, they're not typically, ready to go to production, but they do a great job of capturing the essence of setting up the partnership with maybe a developer or more senior developer to deliver it. The other thing I see and would love to get your take on it is, I get people that say, you need to create innovation, right? You need a team to do innovation, or you need X, Y, and Z to do innovation. And my experience, I think, is like yours, is ideas and innovation can come from anywhere. There's all sorts of different ways of innovating. It could be, a better technical solution to a problem that's the customer never sees, but it makes a big impact. But, the thing that I've experienced is it's not just about having good ideas, but actually giving people time to have ideas and to act on them, right? And it's creating that space where people aren't, scheduled, 43 hours out of every 40-hour week, right? Because you can be as innovative as you want, but if you don't have time to think or to do, it never manifests itself, right? You mentioned agents. Are y'all introducing AI into your team, or how is that process going?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we are in the state of try them all out, like the Pokemon. Got to capture them all. We got to capture them all. And then I go to finance and tell them, I'm sorry, I won't spend all those token monies and credit monies. I don't know. It's like, seriously, it's easy to blow through that stuff. It's funny
It
because
seems like we're on the same plan.
we're telling you, I'm like, oh man, maybe I need to make a decision. I mean, because the nature of our business, we are integrated with a lot of these coding agents, and we want to, definitely try before you buy, but also just understand how people are, again, building custom software. Netlify was really built to take away a lot of the chores that front end developers, as that became a practice, could have, and so that they could have autonomy and really have a decoupled headless architecture. And so that's been done. But now we have this new abstraction of like, I'm going to go to Lovable, I'm going to go to Bolt, I'm going to go to Replit, or maybe I'll do it in my IDE on Cursor, Windsurf, whatever, choose your own. But it's all becoming prompt based. And so for us, I've told the team, I'm like, honestly, try them all out, but we're seeing the same hype, the same kind of like tech gravitation towards Claude. We're seeing the chatter between Codex and Gemini, and we're actually trying it. In Netlify, we've introduced our own piece of product called Agent Runners that we're not building an agent, but we're making it easier to do a live pull request. So not only, do we want to use it in practice building, we're also, providing it. And again, like, what do they call it? We call it dog fooding. We got to come up with better terms. Who wants to eat dog food? Is it drinking your own champagne? I don't know, drinking your own margaritas, because champagne's gross too. But I'm like, I feel like all tech companies have always wanted to have time to market, because time to market is what drives your business. And the whole active DevOps and enablement for developers was, I'm going to tell you, so you can go to market quicker, trust. And so for us, since that's a part of our mission, our vision is to go from idea to the internet. We're trying the agents, we're working fast, but we're putting in constraints and guardrails. We're learning along we're learning along everybody out there. We really are.
Yeah.
You know, I think, again, it's like, if you want to continue to practice this craft, you have to take that growth mindset you've always had as a builder and maker, and try new stuff out. You know, doesn't mean that it's going to solve everything, but definitely you have to listen to the trends, because the trends
Yeah.
become reality, even if you don't like them.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I'm curious, and maybe most people are over the hump now, but I know within our team and certainly within our community, there have been a lot of skeptics, right? And they're like, AI, it doesn't help, and it just slows me down. I'm curious, within your team, have you had a healthy dose of skepticism? Have you had to push people?
Oh man, yes, for sure. Z's. I mean, like, I may be a fangirl, and I'll admit it, I am. I love technology. I love people. Like, I'm here for it. But I've had some people be like, nope, I don't believe it. Like, it's not possible. And I find it to be my engineers that honestly have one of the harder jobs. They've spent years being told, you carry the pager, you're responsible for uptime. Now you're going to let these autonomous little bots that you didn't program go do your bidding? I don't think so. We told you to control that. We're like, you're the queen of the queendom over here. Like, you better control the pager. They're not having it. But then you have to see and remind people again of the practice of DevOps, the whole practice of reliability. Google said in 2012 from the Site Reliability Engineering book that we were going to have self-healing machines. And we're like, hell yeah. Well, guess what? It's actually happening now. It wasn't happening when they wrote about it, but it's happening now. And so I think that being skeptical is great. I mean, you gotta have healthy friction. I don't think that agents and AI are good at everything. I think there's a long way to go, but I do believe that it is good at doing simple instructions, pattern matching, and math. And like, when a lot of these operations are simply that, you can prove the value pretty quickly. You really can. When it comes down to the creator side of it, I mean, well, AI don't have taste unless a human behind it is having it have taste. So I think it still has a lot of opportunity for growth. But the skeptics, I've had to sit down and be like, listen, you gotta have some job protection here, buddy. You got a mortgage. All right. I'm just saying this to you as a buddy, as a friend, as a human. Like,
Right.
Continue to be curious, continue to be skeptical, but also, like, answer those deep questions. If you're ethically opposed, then it's time for you to find a new career. Like, straight up, you're gonna have to find a new job. I don't know how to tell you in any other way. But if you are losing some sense of identity, will capture that. Like, control your destiny and go use this tool set to 10 times yourself, because the expectation is that's what it does for you.
Yeah.
So go prove it or disprove it and be logical. Like, I don't know, like, show me I'm wrong. Don't just show me articles, because I guarantee there's something applicable that you can say will make some part of your workflow be better. And like, we started off this conversation with an example on an AI note taker. Don't tell me you want to sit there and I have to be like, all right, who's going to take the notes? As a woman in tech, I certainly don't like that conversation. More so, I'm like, let the robots take the notes.
Right. I love that. And I think your advice is sound. And I've given similar advice. It's like, do you have to do AI? No. But if you want to have a successful career over time, you're going to have a much better chance if you learn how to leverage AI to do your job more effectively. I mean, there's still COBOL programmers out there, right? And I mean, you can find something, but yeah. You mentioned having the agent runner, right? Are you leveraging AI on your customer facing products? Like, are you implementing it on behalf of your customers? Obviously, you mentioned your team is using it, but we've recently launched on stackoverflow.com our AI assist. We've got some other tools on our internal product that are built leveraging AI. I'm curious about what you're building.
Yeah, I mean, we have a externally available AI gateway right now that you can set up and use yourself. Agent Runners is a public facing AI assistant that, after you deploy to Netlify, you can go into a chat box, choose your agent of choice, and then just say like, change this on the website, and we do a live preview. And it's pretty crazy. You don't go back into your IDE. You're just like, all right, it's pretty neat to like, for the supporting teams, like the marketers, to do like that final check. They're like, what? And you're like, you can submit the button. But we're really just paying attention to how people are using this, and where we can continue to solve those problems. So not only, again, are we using it internally, we're using it as pieces of our offering, and then we're using our offering internally to build it. Again, back to that dog fooding. So it's like we're doing all the things because we get to see how people are building. It's really interesting because a lot of Netlify users have been around, because we've been around for 10 years and have known us as a web and hosting company. And now they're creating websites through partners like Bolt or through these agents. And I can see these previews and we see what people are globally building. And it's just like, it's incredible. Like the skeptics out there, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've seen a lot of cool stuff being built. And is it feel a little bit like, the .com bubble back in the day? I mean, I actually was around and worked during that time, so I can talk to that. It does, but it's different. It's different. Like, it's just different stakes, man. The internet didn't bust back then, and it's not going to bust now.
I was just going to say, it's not like the internet went away after the bubble. AI is not going away, after the hype, right? I mean, Gartner has their hype cycle, and certainly we've seen it, with AI, but you're seeing more and more use cases that just make sense, right? When you think about your engineering org, how do you think about the success or, the health of your organization? Do you have any heuristics or metrics that you use to understand whether things are going well or not?
I mean, here we go. We talk about frameworks again. We try to have frameworks for everything. I do feel that there's value in some of those frameworks that have been out for a while, like the Dora metrics and the space frameworks that, if you don't know what that is, listeners, go Google it. But I do think that having, a core set of tangible things that you measure to see are important, but it doesn't tell the whole story. Again, like, teams are so lean now. To me, the one metric is really the tempo of the team. Are you being consistent? You can look at time to remediation, time to pull requests, et cetera. But to me, it's just time to production, because you are producing so much now. What's actually being shipped? What experiences are you having? And if you're real consistent about that, at least from an overall, that's all that matters, is, again, that value and that change that those people are experiencing on their end. And that tempo is staying it may go faster sometimes, it may go slower, but a tempo's been established. And then again, just like talking and understanding what the team needs. We do some of the traditional stuff, the culture surveys to ensure that people feel like they're being seen, heard, and listened to. We gauge that on a quarterly basis, but you can see a lot by just the change log. And it's not your GitHub commit, trust. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to even count those, but really it's like, are your teams getting the right bite size of work to be able to deliver consistency? Then your team's probably doing all right. Honestly, what you notice is when a team is like slipping dates all the time. You don't need no fancy framework to hear that a team ain't doing well. If they come reporting, they're like, I'm slipping. It's like, there's something in their way. There's something wrong. And again, really having a formed relationship with the managers and building this community of trust, it makes people just be open to talk about where their roadblocks are. It's like, try to make it impersonal. It's like, it's not you why I'm stuck, but I'm stuck. And I think creating an environment of vulnerability, allows people to be able to raise their hands. And so I don't have a fancy framework. I use them, I watch them, but at the end of the day, it's like, are we consistently adding value? Our team's shipping. We don't have a huge team. And, are they feeling satisfied, at least by their work that they're doing? They may not like it every day, but they feel a connection to it.
Yeah. I think that satisfaction can tell you a lot, right? My experience, engineers like to be challenged. They like to be busy. They like to be doing meaningful work. And if those things aren't aligned, they're probably not happy. and you're probably not getting the most from the team or delivering on the outcomes you need for the company. I think also, all the metrics in my opinion are kind of, they're like, the flags at the airport that kind of show the wind, right? It's like they're indicators. They don't tell you that it's, too windy or not windy enough, right? They tell you, hey, you should investigate. A company 10 years old, I'm sure you probably don't have any technical debt or anything like that, right?
No, not at all. Not, the world's most largest, I'm inventing that, most largest Mongo cluster that keeps me up at night. No, not at all. We did everything right. No, I mean, when you build fast, you're going to have some technical debt. We're always, again, looking at ways to mitigate it. And I have monoliths. Yeah, I know. They say one monolith to rule them all. No, I have multiple monoliths. Thank you very much. As all the other
Aren't those services then?
Aren't those services? I know. Wasn't microservices supposed to save us? Now I just don't know where anything is. No, it's a constant. It's constantly evolving. Constantly not hopefully growing and outgrowing my growth. But I think with reliability, security, and anything, you're going to build fast, you're going to learn, you're going to come back, remediate, and go. I think it's a waste of time to go break down monoliths. I think that you have to be smart and build towards the future. That's the best way to approach stuff. Because, those sins of the past, you probably aren't going to get rid of them. You're just not. And the lifespan of most people at companies, with the exception of some long-lived big companies, is 3 to 4 years people make their rotation. And so every 3 to 4 years, you're like, okay, what technical debt is coming, going, staying? And you can do your best as a leader, I think, to try and, again, have a written culture and document it. But yeah, I don't know. People that say they don't have any, they're lying. Or they aren't big enough yet to accumulate it. But I don't know.
Maybe just started.
They just start. Maybe one of these hot new AI companies come teach me something like how to build without building BS. And I'm going to tell you, if they're letting agents do it, a lot of it's going to be crap. So I don't know.
Talk to them in 10 years, right?
Talk to me in 10 years. Yeah, I'm sure. But y'all been around forever too. You're one of the OGs. It comes with building something people love. You scale up. But I feel really fortunate. I got a lot of smart people that I work with. We have a pretty darn good track record. The internet would be yelling at us if we were down. So we're always balancing that product work with that technical debt and that scalability work that you just have to as an engineer.
Yeah, I love that. So it seems pretty apparent that you love what you do. And I'm curious, what drew you to leadership, and what advice might you give to others that are thinking about moving into leadership?
Oh, man, I don't know what drew me. I think I'm just mouthy, and they're like, listen, you're telling everybody what to do anyway. You might as well just be that person. And I was like, okay, I stupidly fell up. Honestly, I just love people. I love getting to learn from people. I think the best leaders are the ones that really know that life is better when you put all the best pieces that humans can bring together, because none of us can solve anything independently. There's some smarties out there, but they still have their struggles. And for me, I've always just gravitated towards solving hard problems with people that are like-minded, in the sense that they want to solve them too, and that sense of purpose. And I think for people that are looking to get into this side of business, which is really helping unlock people and teams, you got to love people. You got to love all the quirks. You got to sonder. You got to think about it and be curious, because they're going to bring something unique to you. Because if you're a global team building for a global population, you should try to represent all those weirdos out there. And so I just try to really stay grounded in the fact that we all have different skills we can leverage, and having people feel safe with low ego that we can come and do something magnificent together. Because I do feel like, there's a lot of doom and gloom on the TV, but people are doing radical, amazing things, and we can continue to do that if we all come together. And that's what I love about leadership. And if you're doing it for the money, or you're doing it because you do think you're going to make all the decisions, you're gonna be very unhappy. You may make some money, but you're gonna be miserable, and like nobody's listening to you.
Right.
You're selling. I hate to tell you, as a leader, most of your job is selling. So because you want to be authentic about what you're selling, but you're selling.
Yeah. I love that. Great insights, great feedback. I think Netlify and your team are really lucky to have you, and appreciate your time and really enjoyed the conversation.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun, Jody. I am Dana Lawson, CTO of Netlify, and I'm not on the social webs. I know. How do you survive in tech and not be on X? Well, you come talk to me. No, you can find me on LinkedIn if you do want to get a hold of me. I accept all connections.
All right. And I'm Jody Bailey, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. And like Dana, I'm not really anyplace else. So we'll see you or hear from you on LinkedIn. Thanks, everybody.
That's going to do it for this episode. If you have suggestions for topics to cover or guests to speak with, you can email podcast@stackoverflow.com. My name is Ira May, and I've been the B2B editor at Stack Overflow. Today I've been speaking with Jody Bailey, our Chief of Product and Technology at Stack, as well as Dana Lawson, who is CTO at Netlify. Thank you for listening. See you folks on the next episode of Leaders of Code.